To today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming to you live from beautiful, wintry Budapest. I hope everybody has had a fantastic week and is looking forward to an even better weekend. In this class, we are focusing on IELTS reading, specifically for the academic version of the exam. However, those of you who are learning for the general version of the exam, keep in mind that section 3 in the general reading is very, very similar to the reading passages in the academic. So it's worthwhile hanging in there and learning some strategies and practicing your reading. This is a reading class, so make sure to read with me, okay? Don't just listen, but read as well. And whenever possible, practice reading aloud. Aloud reading is an excellent way to improve quickly. It's multiple sensory integration where you're using the muscles of your mouth, tongue, you're using your ears, your eyes, all together. So read aloud whenever possible. Hi, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Had an excellent workout earlier today, so I'm feeling pumped. How are you doing? Hi for doves. Again, while we wait for some of our members to join in on this class, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com for the academic version of the test. Check us out there. Join our premium packages. Absolutely worth spending a few dollars. It's great bang for buck. And for the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. Again, a valuable investment of your energy and money to improve quickly and pass the IELTS with flying colors, as the expression goes. While we wait for some more members, just a quick look at those websites. This is the academic website here with the blue background. Click that big red button to join the premium package there. Get your My Student account with 6 original practice tests, adding 4 more early next year, and over 100 hours of video lessons in a fully interactive course. This is gieltshelp.com here. Click that red button to join us there. When you join us on our websites, it's also a very, very good idea to install our apps on your mobile device. For the academic, install Academic IELTS Help app. And for the general, install the General IELTS Help app. Then you can link the apps to the respective websites so that you learn from the same account. Okay? It's a very powerful learning tool in this way. Awaz, for Dobbs, have you done that? Do you have access to the website and the apps? And have you linked the apps and the website together? You only have to have full access on one, and then when you link it, it allows you full access on the other. Just curious, actually, if our members, I know some of them have our premium packages, and I'm wondering if you've done that. You have for Dobbs, excellent. And how are you finding that? So how are you finding learning from the app and the website? Just out of curiosity. Again, viewers, if you have questions about our products or the IELTS exam, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. We are British Council partners, registration center partners as well, so we have a really deep understanding of the IELTS exam. This class is for members chat. Everybody is welcome to watch, of course. It's a reading class, and then afterwards we will finish the writing task 2 that we started yesterday. Okay. Awaz, I'm not sure why you're having difficulty joining the website. Send me an email and I'll check it out, or just send me some screenshots of what's going on, okay? And I'll take a deeper look. Okay, so let's get going with some reading. Here we go. So this is passage 3 from test 3. This is a challenging passage today, members. And we'll just get right into it. Hi, Amarjeet. Hi, Hassan. Nice to see you more members in here as well. Okay, so here we go. with this reading passage. We're going to do this together, effectively, efficiently, nice and smooth. Here we go, looking at the title. Now, this is passage 3, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging, as I mentioned, with vocabulary and such. So we have a picture here, and then we have the title, Physalia physalis. Okay, clearly that's some specific word that describes this creature, this animal. When you take a look at this picture, when you take a look at this title, what comes to mind? What do you think of? Again, predicting, visualizing, using the title, using the picture, if you have one available, is extremely effective in increasing your comprehension. So what am I looking at here? What is this passage going to be about? Ivan says, I think it's a jellyfish. Yeah, it sure looks like a jellyfish, right? It looks like a very interesting jellyfish. Now, you might notice there is a line here. So this jellyfish seems to be quite unique because jellyfish, or also called medusa, usually swim in the ocean. And this one seems to be kind of floating on the surface. So there's definitely something funky going on here. Hassan says it definitely looks like some kind of sea species. Hassan, you're right. This is an oceanic species of animal. Absolutely. Good. So what do you think the passage will be about? So you have the right idea. You're maybe looking at a jellyfish here. So what would you expect to read about a jellyfish? Okay, that's kind of what you want to think about. And this is true for most animal topics. Okay, the IELTS does like to throw in a passage every now and then that discusses some aspect of an animal, and it's good to be prepared for such a topic. So you're doing your preparation, your predictions, and you say, okay, this is a passage about some kind of jellyfish. Sure. Okay. So what would it be about? So Amarjit says maybe it's something about the fact that it's poisonous. So it is perhaps a poisonous creature. The article is about its defense mechanisms, right? Okay, quite possible. So maybe something about its defense mechanisms, the way that it protects itself. What else? So what would you expect to read when you're reading about a creature, okay, or an animal? It's usually generic. So one that can come to mind for sure is the life cycle, which means the way it's born, where it lives, what it eats, how it reproduces. Okay, so those kinds of information when you're reading about an animal are often included. So it's good to learn some English and some vocabulary that deals with that aspect of learning of animals and their life. Okay, so of course words that come to mind should be its habits, and habitats. Okay, definitely be familiar with that. Okay, good. Yeah, so Hassan saying the way it lives, its food, it's what it eats, and so forth. Very good. All right, so when you see a passage like this and you realize that it's an animal, immediately you should start thinking about these points: the life cycle, where it might live. I think it was Hassan that says it looks like a sea creature, so you're starting to think of the oceans, saline, salt water. All right, and then you go, all right, let's get a deeper understanding of this. Of course, that part that we just discussed, it happens very quickly. You only take about 10, 15, 20 seconds to read the title and think about these points. Then you shift to the questions and you look at the questions and see if there's some valuable information that you can use to help you. So you come to this part of the passage and it says complete the sentences below. Choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer. Members, is this a good question to read before the passage? Should you scan over this to try to get a deeper understanding of the information that's in the passage? Is it a valuable question for us? Ferdov says yes. Yeah, Ferdovs, I agree. It is. All of this information is somewhere in the passage and it's paraphrased. Okay, one of the really valuable parts of reading over the questions before you read the passage, when this information is in the passage, of course, is that it's paraphrasing. So it's not exactly the same words, it's synonymous with the passage. So 27, the Portuguese man of war's something acts as both a defense and an attack mechanism. Very good, Amarjit. So you said poison when you were predicting, and poison seems to almost fit into this space. Now be careful, don't put it in there yet, but that's very promising. Okay, Nomius has something to the man of war's attack. So now I see a new word here, Nomius. I clearly identify that this is a noun. So here, it seems like we will see another creature, some kind of a creature, as well as the Physalia physalis in this passage. So keeping that in mind, okay. Nomius is also a very competent something which helps keep it safe from the man of war. All right, and so from number 28 and 29, I can already predict that there is some kind of information about the interaction between this subject and this subject, right? So I can figure out that this is a noun, and from the content of these 2 questions, I can realize that there's an interaction that I will be reading about here. That's very useful, okay? So although they initially look like a jellyfish, the man of war is really a something. All right, so fantastic. So here, even more insight. So it looks like a jellyfish, but it's not really a jellyfish, it's something else. So I'm getting ready mentally for that surprise to discover what this creature really is if it's not a jellyfish. Okay, now I'm explaining this in a lot of detail, obviously, but in the real exam, this is happening in real time very, very quickly. I'm staying focused and I'm using my critical thinking. Is that clear, members, how I'm using my critical thinking here to not just read these questions nice and fast, but also draw information and conclusions from reading these questions? Are you following me with that? Okay. It's incredible how much insight, how much prediction you can actually achieve from questions if you have the right strategy. Thanks for Dobbs and Hassan for giving me feedback. So the role of the something is as a sexual organ. All right, so number 31 here then shows me that there might be some information here about reproduction, okay? 32, Nomius's ability to live around the poisonous something of the man of war is not fully understood. All right, so even backing up my prediction further that there will be some information about poison and venom. Okay, so 33 to 36, it says complete each sentence with the correct ending, A to I. As we discovered before, this type of question, you only want to read the question statements, not the choices, because the choices might be confusing. There's 4 question statements, and there's 9 possible choices. So that means 5 of these are wrong, and that can confuse us. So we'll leave those and we'll just focus here. The relationship between the two creatures is best described as, okay, so again, there's obviously some kind of relationship here. While the Nomius is resistant to the venom, the Nomius is swimming patterns. For the Nomius, the man of war also serves as. So now that I've read over the questions, I can actually figure out that most of this passage will be discussing the relationship and the interaction between two creatures, the Nomius and the man of war. Okay, so the man of war and the Nomius and the way that they interact. Why do I know that? Because look at all of the questions that deal with these two creatures. All right. Okay, and now we have some multiple choice. Multiple choice, 37 to 38. Again, don't read the choices. They are confusing. Just read the statement. The Nomius's main mechanism of defense is... What does Nomius generally use to propel itself? Okay, and then we have a couple of yes, no, not given. We don't worry about those because we don't know if they're true or false or not given, so we don't even read them. Just by looking at the questions, members, what do you think is the Nomius? So logically, what would be your best guess? What kind of an animal is the Nomius? Just by looking at the information so far, what do you think? Propel, Hassan, is to push forward. Okay, propel is a verb. So here, I'll help you, Hassan, remember this word forever. All right. So here we have an airplane. Okay, and this, Hassan, on the front of the airplane, is called a propeller. Okay, so that object that spins around and around and pushes air under the wings and gives the airplane thrust is called a propeller. The propeller propels the airplane forward. Okay, so Hassan is propelling the airplane by spinning his arms, right? That's your unique, interesting example, Hassan, to remember the word propel. Propel means to give thrust or to push, okay? Priyanka says it's maybe a jellyfish. Ferdov says it's part of a jellyfish. Yeah, Yvonne, very good. So Yvonne says Nomius is maybe a kind of a fish. Okay, very good, Yvonne. Yeah, so from the word propel, you might be able to predict that it's a type of fish. Exactly, very good. And it is a type of fish. Okay, so Nomius is a type of fish, and the Physalia physalis, also called a Portuguese man-o'-war, is some kind of a jellyfish type of creature. All right, let's read and go through the passage together and then the questions, all right? Here we go. So read with me. It's a little bit of a challenging reading. Don't worry about that. In the real IELTS exam, please do not try to pronounce tricky words like Physalia physalis. Just do your best. It's more important that you read smoothly. Okay, that's a very important tip for today. So don't get stuck on awkward words, all right? So Physalia physalis, common name, Portuguese man-of-war, is a unique species of the class Hydrozoa. Again, read with me, students. Several characteristics distinguish this species. The Physalia physalis is a free-floating communal polyp. Its powerful poison serves as a defense and attack for the species. One type of fish, however, has developed a high level of immunity to this toxin. The Nomius granvi is capable of withstanding injections of Physalia venom 10 times the normal strength of that which kills other fishes. Due to this resistance to the venom and exceptional swimming, the two organisms have evolved to form a commensal relationship with one another. Even though we apply the term commensalism to the symbiosis between these two animals, the nature of interaction is not exactly fitting of the term. As defined by Campbell and Rees, commensalism is when one organism receives a benefit while neither harming nor helping the other in any significant way. By looking closely at the behavior, physiology, and symbiosis between Physalia physalis and Nomius granvi, we find out the reason for this misleading terminology. Okay, that's about the speed that you need to read. You don't need to read faster. You don't have to understand every word and every idea, just the main concepts. And hopefully, after reading this first paragraph, you realize that, okay, we have this creature, which is called the man of war, or Portuguese man of war. And then you have a kind of a fish, which is called the Nomius, something like that. And these two, they're friends, okay? So they live together. There's a little handshake, all right? They're hanging out, and they have a relationship with each other. This creature is very poisonous, of course. Again, you're visualizing all of this. And this fish is very resistant to the poison. So, hey, he's like, no worries, I've got this. I'm resistant to the poison. Okay, so you should have at least that level of comprehension. Definitely there are quite a few words there, Hassan, which are to do with biology, but they're not extremely high level or unique. So keep in mind, members, viewers, that the words used in this passage so far are commonly understood by grade 12 high school native English speakers. Okay, so it is a good idea to be familiar with some basic terms in biology, like physiology, for example, okay, or symbiosis. So these kinds of words like physiology, all right, or venom, okay, symbiosis, these are higher level words in English, but they're not extremely unique. Okay, so do learn them. All right, you could very easily see these words on your next IELTS exam. All right, let's keep going. So far in the introduction, we were introduced two creatures that live together in the ocean. Again, read with me nice and loud. The physiology of Physalia physalis is unique. At first glance, they appear to be jellyfish, but the Portuguese man of war is actually a polyp or community of polyps belonging to the order Siphonophora. And again, this kind of word like Siphonophora, you don't need to know it. Okay, so belonging to the order of whatever, which gets its common name from its resemblance to an old Portuguese warship. The man of war floats with a gas-filled blue to pink translucent body called a pneumatophore, a part of a single polyp. This crest-like pneumatophore, which may attain a length of 20 centimeters, acts as a sail and is aligned so that the colony sails at 45 degrees to the wind direction. Polyps connect tentacles, which are located at the ventral surface of the float. Again, the word ventral means the bottom or under. It's again a word used in school, but it is familiar to high school native English speakers. There are three types of specialized polyps: dactylozoids that find and catch prey with poisonous stingers called nematocysts, gonozoids that reproduce, and gastrozoids that digest the food like a stomach. These fishing tentacles, sometimes as long as 50 meters, hang down like a drift net, combing the water for prey. Okay, so again, lots of visualization. What was this second paragraph about? So members, after reading this second paragraph, as much as you understood, what was it about? In a simple sentence, what did the author explain in this body paragraph 1? Again, remember, you don't have to understand every little detail, but you should grasp the main concepts, especially if you're going for like a band 6.5 or 7. Okay, so Priyanka says the structure. Structure of what, Priyanka? So give me a full sentence, or at least give me a phrase. The structure of what, Priyanka? You're definitely on the right track, Priyanka. It is the structure. You could use a better word from the introduction. Okay, so Asan says the species features its body. Yeah. So Ivan says the appearance and functionality. Amarjit says the body structure. Use the words you're learning in class, members. Remember this word here. Okay. Physiology. Okay. Physiology is the study of the physical form. So physics, right? The body. Physiology is the study of the physical form. So this body paragraph 1 that we just read, this one here, is about the physiology of the man-o-war. Okay? Yeah, very good, Priyanka. It's the physiology of the Physalia physalis. Excellent. Good job. Okay? So that's what this was about. And when you're reading it, don't forget your picture here. Okay? So it's called a Portuguese man-o-war because it looks like an old Portuguese warship. Okay? And then it says that it's actually not one animal, but it's lots of animals called polyps. Okay? And there's 3 different kinds. So as you're reading, you should realize that there's one, which is the poisonous one. It's the attack. Okay? There's another one, which is used for reproduction. Okay? And I don't remember those very special words that they were describing, but that's fine. And then there's another one that's used for eating. Okay, I believe that one's actually up here. It said it's like a stomach. Okay, so it's 3 different kinds of polyps that live together under this bubble and help each other to basically attack, eat, and reproduce. Now, visualization can help you a lot here. Okay, are you following me, members, with the visualization and connecting that information? I don't remember that. I mean, there were some really interesting words like gonozoid or dactylozoid, something like that. Those are Latin words, mostly. I don't keep those in mind either. I'm just focusing on the primary physiology and function, right? Okay. And remember, students, that for the academic IELTS, passage 3 is often a passage which deals with actually almost teaching information, just like you would see in college or university. So it's testing your ability to acquire new information in English. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right? So it's a very important tip. Again, I've given you a few important tips. This one I'm actually going to write down so you keep it in mind. Okay. Passage 3 in the academic IELTS, just like this one, often seeks to assess how well a candidate can read, learn, and use new information in English. Exactly what will be expected of the candidate once they successfully pass the test and enter college or university using English or work. Right? Does that make sense? So does it make sense why the IELTS may present you with this type of passage that has this level of difficulty, where they show you a new word like gonozoid and then they explain it? They say that this is a tentacle which is used for catching prey, right? So you get an explanation and you have to learn and use that information. Does that make sense, members? Why you get this kind of a passage with this level of difficulty? And I know that many students who sat the exam before have said, oh yeah, I've definitely seen that in the real exam. So does that make sense? So IELTS is not trying to be mean. They're not out to get you, but they want you to be prepared for your bachelor's, master's studies if you're going for university in an English-speaking country or in an English-speaking university, okay? You have to do much more than just be able to understand English. You have to be able to use the English, of course, okay? Thanks, Amarjeet, for responding. I was looking for that. All right, here we go. So, Nomias grombi are tropical fish belonging to the ray fin fishes of the class Osteichthyes. The fins, supported by long flexible rays, are modified for maneuvering, defense, and other functions. The length of this fish at maturity is about 8 centimeters. The nature of the ability of Nomias to live among the venomous tentacles of Physalia has been likened to that of the relationship between sea anemones and anemone fishes. This immunity is not yet fully understood. So here, what are we talking about? We're talking about the Nomias grombi and what group of fish it belongs to and a little bit about its behavior. Okay, good. Moving on. The relationship between Physalia and Nomias is arguably harmful to both organisms. They mutually benefit from one another, but at the same time, the symbiosis can be quite damaging to both creatures. In this sense, the relationship could be better defined as one of mutualism and parasitism. In mutualism, both organisms benefit. In parasitism, one organism benefits at the expense of the host. So what is this about? It's about the kind of relationship between Physalia and Nomias. It's saying that it's maybe beneficial, but it's also maybe harmful for both of these creatures. Okay, keep reading with me. Hang in there. When the Nomias is weak, it may no longer be able to withstand the venom of the nematocysts. In one study, a freshly expired Nomias was offered to the Physalia. The carcass was immediately stung, taken hold of by a dactylozoid, and brought up to the gastrozoids. The Nomias, although resilient to the toxin, is not 100% immune. In the same study, the live Nomias began to swim more erratically and moved towards the carcass as the gastrozoids formed their characteristic bag and began to digest the fish. The live Nomias was then caught on the left side by one of the largest dactylozoids. This behavior clearly indicates how the symbiosis may deviate from the definition provided by commensalism. So here is a nice description of an experiment where the Nombius, maybe it was a little bit older or something, wasn't as skillful anymore, and it was getting stung by this group of polyps. So that's how it's damaging. All right. Now notice, members, that when I'm reading, and I really strongly suggest always practicing your reading this way, notice how when I read, I'm careful to pay attention to periods and to comma breaks, okay? Reading is much nicer, much more enjoyable, much smoother, and makes a lot more sense when you pay attention to those punctuation marks, full stop, half stop, and so on, all right? Do you do that, members? Amarjit, Hassan, Priyanka, when you read in English, hopefully in your own language as well, Ivan, in Russian, in Arabic, Hindi, Punjabi, do you make sure that you pay attention to punctuation marks? I've seen students before where they just kind of read like a machine, and they're just reading through all of these periods and commas and points, and that's not a very enjoyable and productive way to read. So you have to stop on those punctuation marks. Okay? Ferdab says, yep. Hassan says, yeah. Awaz says, not so much. Awaz, definitely try to change that. Okay? And he says, yes, I do. It's very important. All right? So it's another very important tip. Okay? So if you're not doing it, make sure to do it. Okay? Especially aloud. So whether you're reading aloud or silently, it doesn't matter. Make sure to pay attention to punctuation and take the necessary pauses, okay? This will help you enjoy reading and improve comprehension. All right, very important. So let's keep reading. Let's pay attention to this. On the other hand, the Nombius has two distinct gains from its innate behavior with Physalia. As an experiment demonstrated, upon introduction, the Nombius initially swam near the surface and around the Physalia in a large circular pattern in both clockwise and counterclockwise directions. This action protects the fish from attack. Most predatory fishes of Nombius therefore avoid the man-of-wars or sustain serious injury and often death. Second, the Physalia provides a food source for the Nombius. In the mentioned experiment, about 15 minutes after release, the Nombius swam closer to the Physalia, paused as if inspecting it, and then began to nip the edges of the gonozoids. Physalia is able to regenerate the tentacles, and so this ingestion is rarely fatal to the organism. Okay, so here we read a little bit more about what's going on. And again, continue using the picture. So here, what you should see is this fish swimming in clockwise and counterclockwise directions around these tentacles, and at times eating. Okay, this Nombius, yum, 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 yum. So yummy jellyfish. Okay, so make sure to visualize as much as you can, It will help you answer questions smoothly, quickly, and accurately. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Nombius's capacity to survive near the poisonous tentacles of the manivore is only partly due to the resilience of the toxin. The main reason for this skill is certain swimming behaviors. Instead of developing protective mucus, the fish depends on its swimming abilities as its main mechanism of defense while living in the venomous discharge of physalia. The non-venomous fish can maneuver with precision to avoid stinging nematocysts. This is the case whether the physalia is stationary or in motion. Ray fin fishes have a physiology which enables maneuverability. The fish displays relative ease in maintaining a safe distance from the dactylozoids, even with absurd, sharp changes in direction. Non-venomous specimens use the pectoral fins for propulsion. So there's your question there, Hassan. So pectoral fins for propulsion. So the pecs, these are your pecs, okay? It's your chest muscles. So in a fish, of course, the fish is horizontal, not vertical like humans. So it's these fins which it uses for thrust to move forward, like a propeller of an airplane, okay? So keep visualizing. So pectoral fins for propulsion, okay? While the pelvic fins are spread like a fan. The caudal fin is apparently used for only short, fast darts. This swimming behavior appears to be well suited for existence with physalia. Pelvic, pelvis, that's your hips, okay? So again, just teaching you these basic words of grade 11, grade 12 biology class. Pelvic is your hips, okay? Caudal is your tail, caudal fin. So your caudal fin, if you're thinking about a shark, it's that nice big fin on the back of the shark. That's a terrible looking shark, but anyway, this is the caudal fin, okay? And the dorsal fin is the one that's on the top that you see in movies. That's the dorsal fin, all right? Okay. So, it is therefore apparent that rather than developing an ability to inhibit the discharge of physalia nematocysts or prevent them from stinging, non-venomous uses its swimming abilities as its primary means of defense while living in the venomous drift net of physalia. And the conclusion, taking into consideration all of the interactions involved in the symbiotic relationship of these two organisms, the appropriate term to assign is difficult. The facts state that the commensalism of these two aquatic creatures is one which incorporates beneficial as well as harmful factors depending on the circumstance. It is this alternation of prey-predator roles of physalia and non-venomous that creates a definitive difficulty. Perhaps the best term we can apply for the moment is that of commensalism, given that both animals receive some benefit at varying times during the relationship. Fantastic. All right, so now we've read this, we have a clear idea, more or less. Let's answer some questions. So here we go. The Portuguese man of war's something acts as both as a defense and attack mechanism. What do you think is the word that goes in there? Just based on the reading. And again, remember students, you should answer about 60% of questions without searching. Okay? Priyanka, I'm glad you do it in your native language, the punctuations. Make sure to start practicing it in English as well. Okay, Priyanka, it's really important. And that's where aloud reading can help. So let's get to these questions. The Portuguese man of war's something acts as both a defense and an attack mechanism. Venom, and he says venom. Very good. Venom is a synonym for poison. And the article says venom and poison several times. So both words would be okay here. All right. There's that famous character in the movies Venom as well. Do you guys know that famous character Venom in the Spider-Man series, Venom? That's where Venom gets his name. It's like a synonym for poison. Okay, that it's the it looks like Spider-Man, but with that black alien suit. It's called Venom. Okay, I'm giving you this information not because I necessarily want you to go watch superhero films, but because it will help you to remember these words and make those connections. Okay, so that character is called Venom from the word poison or venom. Okay. All right. Nombius has a something to the man of war's attack. What do you think is the most logical word here? Okay, I think there's a word that you'll come up with for sure. So Nombius has a something to the man of war's attack. For Dobbs, careful, it's not immunity. Remember, the article says a couple of times that the Nombius is not completely immune. So Hassan says immunity but not 100%. And Hassan, immunity but not 100% is resistance. So NA, very good. Okay. It's not immune, but it's able to resist. So it has a resistance to the man of war's attack. Resistance means less than 100% immunity. So when you were thinking immunity, you were on the right track, but careful, it's passage 3. The answers aren't going to be all that easy. Okay, Nombius is also a very competent. Competent means able, okay, or knowledgeable. So Nombius is also a very competent or able something, which helps keep it safe from the man of war. What is this Nombius able to do? It says several times in the passage what the Nombius is very good at. Okay, Awaz, Ahmedab says swimming. Yeah, so when you have the person noun, what do you think that's called, Awaz? So a very competent. So if we use the subject noun form of swim, then how is that in English? Usually. Not swimming, not swim. Is a very competent. This is an adjective, so this has to be a noun. Okay. It's not swim, it's not swimming, but you're close. You have the root word. It's not to swim. It's swimmer. Okay, so Nombius is also a very competent swimmer. Yeah, very good, NA. It's a swimmer. Very good, Amarjeet. Yeah, so remember that, students, that there are person nouns for a lot of these verbs, like reader, swimmer, golfer. Okay, the ER means it's an person or living noun. Okay, that ER, you take the root of the word. If it's got 2 M's, you have to be careful, like swimming, and then it's swimmer. Okay, player, swimmer, golfer. All right, keep that in mind. Okay, tells me that this has to be a noun because these are adjectives. Okay, if that makes sense. So swimmer. Okay. All right. Although they initially look like a jellyfish, the man of war is really a what? So what is this strange looking creature? Yes, Hassan, you should be able to find the word swimmer. It's a very, I think in the passage it says very capable swimmer. Instead of competent swimmer, there's a part there that says a very capable swimmer. Okay. Yeah, it's really a polyp, or really a group of polyps, but it's a polyp. Okay, polyp is going to be the best choice there. I mean, ideally, the better answer would be it's a community of polyps, but it says to use only 2 words maximum, and you see the word here, so your best answer is a polyp. Okay, so you can't use a plural. You can't say polyps because, although you'd be correct, but you can't say that because you have the word So pay really careful attention to these articles, okay? If you see a or an, it has to be singular, all right? Okay, the role of the something is as a sexual organ. Ooh, oh, I don't remember what that is, so I definitely have to search for this one. And the passage didn't say sexual organ. It said something different, I believe. Anybody remember what it said instead of sexual organ? So what was the paraphrase? Ferdov says the answer. Ferdov's like, I remember, it was the gonozooid. Perhaps we can check that. It didn't say sexual organ. What did it say? It said, I think it said reproductive organ, right? Yeah, NA's got the right idea too, but definitely check above. So I know that I don't have to go through the whole passage because this is going to be the paragraph that has the physiology of the Physalia physalis, which was the second paragraph. Okay. And it said that reproduce, right? Instead of sexual organ, it said reproduce because it's paraphrased. So here's the word, gonozooid, with all of those O's. It's 4 O's and 1 I, right? Ferdovs does have the right spelling. Good job, Ferdovs. Very good memory. Okay, so gonozoid is, the role of the gonozoid is as a sexual organ. Okay, good. All right. And number 32. Nombius's ability to live around the poisonous something of the man of war is not fully understood. What do you think? And he says tentacles. I agree. Tentacles. So if you have an octopus, okay, all of those beautiful legs of the octopus or the squid. Octopus has 8. Let's give him a couple more. Okay, so these are called tentacles. Okay. Right, those are the tentacles. An octopus has 8 tentacles. That's why it's called an octopus, because octo in Latin means 8. Okay, so 8 tentacles. All right. Now, finishing the sentence endings. The relationship between the two creatures is best described as commensalism. They take from each other, they also hurt each other. So protect the fish from attack, sexual mate, peaceful and friendly, source of food, not totally immune, very prone, mutualistic and parasitic. Endanger the man of war is seemingly immune. Mutualistic, parasitic seems to be the best one. Okay, so G. While the Nombius is resistant to the venom, this will help you with that previous question. It is not completely immune. So many of you said earlier it is not 100% immune. So here, E, it is not totally immune. So we go with E. The non-Miasis swimming patterns do what? They protect the non-Mias, right? So the non-Miasis swimming patterns protect it. There we go. Protect the fish from attack. Notice how I'm solving these members. I'm thinking of my own answers first, and then I'm choosing the matching choice or selection, okay? For the non-Mias, man of war also serves as food. Remember, I even draw that little picture of it eating the physalia. So, there it is, a source of food. All right, so I showed you there a little bit of how quickly you can move through these questions if you have understood the text well. All right, and of course, visualizing helps you greatly with that. All right, members. So the last questions. Multiple choice. The non-Mias's main mechanism of defense is swimming behaviors. Right? C. What does non-Mias generally use to propel itself? D. The pectoral fins. The fins on its chest. Okay. For 38. We pictured that one. Okay, a yes, no, not given. Non-Mias and Physalia's relationship is known to be destructive. True or false? Is it important for the passage? Yes. Is it destructive? No. They survive each other. They live together. Remember the handshake? The chief reason why non-Mias exists is to act in commensalism with Physalia. So is it important to know why what's the chief reason that non-Mias exists in this world? No, that's not given. That's kind of strange. So N, G, not given. Okay, no, not given. That's it, members. So again, remember to read with punctuation, visualize, use questions effectively to infer and predict information in the passage. Don't get scared if you see a passage with more difficult and challenging vocabulary and information. Just stay focused and remember, the IELTS is testing how well you can learn new information using English. Those are the main points from today's class. Thank you so much for joining me, members. And make sure to practice lots, okay? Read aloud lots. For all of our viewers, do join our premium package at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general. Also download our apps, Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help from your Google Play and Apple App Stores. In 30 minutes, task 2 finish, body paragraphs, and conclusion. Thank you. Awaz Ferdavs, you're very, very welcome. Awaz Akhmedov, you're welcome. Ivan, you may have somewhat similar text to this. Maybe not quite as complex or quite as scientific, but somewhat similar text in section 3 of your general reading passage, okay? You're welcome, Asan. All right, hopefully I'll see most of you in 30 minutes for some essay writing. Bye for now.